James Mangold's Bob Dylan film A Complete Unknown is a complete knockout, but that was far from a foregone conclusion. One of Mangold's early hits was the 2005 Johnny Cash biopic Walk the Line. It was nominated for a slew of Oscars. Reese Witherspoon won one for her turn as June Carter, and in my opinion, there aren't many mainstream music biopics released since that match it in quality. And there's a pretty good reason for that. 2 years after the release of Walk the Line came Walk Hard, an incredible parody of the music biopic genre that expertly lampoons and satirizes all of the genre's hallmarks. From the Dewey Cox has to think about his whole life before he performs opening, to the drug-fueled rise and fall arc, the abusive or neglectful upbringing, the toxic relationships, Walk Hard eviscerated it all. It seemed impossible at the time to ever take another music biopic seriously if it didn't evolve past the tried and true formula. And yet, countless films have fallen into the genre trappings in the years since, and I've found them ranging in quality from serviceable to terrible, despite a few going on to inexplicable award success. Plus, didn't we basically already get the definitive take on folk music during this time in Inside Llewyn Davis? And so I was skeptical but curious in what James Mangold would bring in his return to the genre. And to my absolute delight, he pretty much sidesteps or avoids almost all of those major pitfalls to instead deliver a film that's just as soulful and contemplative and moving as the classic folk music at its center. Mangold's take on the story of Bob Dylan hones in on his rise to stardom in the folk music scene, to his controversial but career-defining turn to electric guitar. And in his moody character study, Mangold is playing with fire, threading a very tough thematic needle. As offstage, Bob is a completely closed-off enigma, a meticulously crafted persona of his own making to shield himself from ever being truly vulnerable or intimate. He changes his name, he conjures up a more interesting and peculiar backstory, he wears thick black glasses as both an emotional crutch and a shield to prevent his eyes from betraying his inner emotions. It's only in his writing, occasionally via letters to his pen pal Johnny Cash, but most often in song on stage, that he allows access to what's going on inside his head, of his feelings toward himself, his relationships, and the social injustices of the world around him. Both Bob and the film keep the audience at arm's length, which is a real danger to an emotional connection with the material, yet it just makes those moments of vulnerability all the more impactful. In one of the most heartbreaking and profound scenes in the entire film, Bob's oft-neglected girlfriend Sylvie finally realizes that the Bob she sees on stage is not one she will ever have access to in their normal lives. It's an incredible moment, and Elle Fanning plays it perfectly. Timothée Chalamet has long established himself as one of the most promising actors of his generation, and even still he managed to exceed my expectations here. He's so good in this. But I really want to single out Edward Norton as Pete Seegers. He's the beating heart of this movie that pulls the whole thing together. He's the opposite of Bob, with his heart so purely and defiantly on his sleeve. Norton is so warmly earnest in this role, it's a genuine delight. There's a pivotal scene toward the end of the movie where Norton gives a monologue about a seesaw that is an absolute knockout and easily my favorite moment of the entire film. I think it's a shame that the Academy Awards seem to largely reward more broad or tortured performances, because there's a real magic to the Mr. Rogers quality that Norton imbues Seegers with. There are a few beats that feel inauthentic and fall into the music biopic formula that Walk Hard so expertly lampooned. Like the first time Bob plays electric guitar on stage. There's basically a riot and a woman dramatically shouts that he's Judas. It feels so much like the scene from Walk Hard where Dewey plays a comically inoffensive song about holding hands that simultaneously has older people calling it devil music and literally throwing up in their hands, while the younger crowd just start having sex, leading to an all-out riot. But the pure filmmaking mastery of Mangold makes even that generic retread feel lively, and he misses most every other potential landmine. So yeah, A Complete Unknown really impressed me. I think it's one of the best films of the year, but that's just like my opinion, man. Let me know yours in the comments below. Follow me on Letterboxd at Josh D. Floyd for more of my up-to-date movie thoughts. Thanks for watching this video. Bye.